A curious new species. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way galaxy, a myriad of sentient species had long coexisted under the auspices of the Galactic Council. For eons, the great spiral arms of the galaxy had teemed with diverse civilizations, each contributing to the tapestry of life among the stars. Yet there remained one region that was shunned by all, the Blighted Arm, a place of darkness and dread that had long been quarantined by the Council. Amidst this grand cosmic stage, a curious new species began to make its presence known. They called themselves humans, and they hailed from a small, unassuming blue world on the fringe of the Orion Spur. For centuries, these bipedal mammals had gazed up at the stars with wonder, dreaming of the day they might travel among them. Through ingenuity and perseverance, they had finally achieved the miracle of faster-than-light travel, and now stood ready to join the galactic community. When human emissaries first arrived at the Galactic Council's headquarters on the resplendent capital world of Aurelia Prime, they were greeted with a mixture of curiosity and cautious optimism. The assembled delegates from 100 star systems marveled at these newcomers, noting their striking similarity to the fabled precursors who were said to have seeded the galaxy with life untold millennia ago. Over time, the humans proved themselves to be an industrious and amiable species, eager to learn from and contribute to the greater galactic society. They established thriving trade relationships, shared scientific knowledge, and even began to colonize new worlds under the guidance of the Council. The galaxy seemed to grow a little brighter with the arrival of these intrepid explorers. Yet as the humans integrated more fully into galactic affairs, they began to hear whispers of the one region that remained off-limits to all: the Blighted Arm. Located on the far side of the galactic core from Earth, this immense spiral arm was said to be a place of unspeakable horror and unfathomable danger. Ships that ventured into its inky depths were never heard from again, and even the most advanced probes sent to survey it had returned only eerie silence. Naturally, the humans' insatiable curiosity was piqued by the enigma of the Blighted Arm. The more they learned of the restrictions and taboos surrounding it, the more they yearned to uncover its secrets. Privately, they began to make plans for an expedition into the Forbidden Zone, convinced that their advanced technology and resourcefulness would allow them to succeed where all others had failed. Little did they know that their hubris would soon set in motion a chain of events that would shake the very foundations of galactic peace and unleash horrors that had long slumbered in the darkness between the stars. The humans' fateful decision to explore the Blighted Arm would come to be remembered as a turning point in the history of the galaxy, the moment when an ancient evil began to stir once more. As the expedition began to take shape, the humans blithely ignored the dire warnings of the Council and the other elder races. They were confident that they could handle whatever lay waiting for them in the depths of the Blighted Arm. But in their arrogance, they failed to heed the most basic tenet of survival in an uncaring universe. Some dogs are best left to lie. Unheeded warnings. The Galactic Council, a venerable body representing the collective wisdom of 100 species, convened an emergency session to address the alarming news that had reached their ears. The humans, those brash newcomers to the galactic stage, were planning an expedition into the Blighted Arm, a prospect that filled even the most stoic of counselors with dread. In the grand amphitheater of the council chambers, the human ambassador, a tall, striking woman named Ilara Vestas, stood before the assembled delegates. Her bearing was proud and unyielding, a reflection of her species' stubborn determination. "Esteemed counselors," she began, her voice ringing clear and true, "I come before you today to announce that the United Earth Federation has authorized an exploratory mission into the region known as the Blighted Arm." A susurrus of unease rippled through the chamber, and the counselor from the ancient Valorian Empire, a wizened being with skin like weathered bark, rose to speak. "Ambassador Vestas," they intoned gravely, "the Council strongly advises against this course of action. The Blighted Arm is a place of great peril, one that has long been forbidden to all. It is not without reason that we have maintained this quarantine for eons. Ilara's jaw tightened, a flicker of defiance in her eyes. With all due respect, Counselor, we humans have never been ones to shy away from the unknown. We understand the risks, but we also believe that the potential rewards, the knowledge and resources that may lie hidden in the blighted arm, are worth the danger. The Valorian counselor shook their head sadly. You do not understand the true nature of what lies waiting in that benighted region, Ambassador. There are things that slumber there, ancient and terrible things that should never be awakened. To venture into the blighted arm is to court disaster not only for yourselves, but for the entire galaxy. But Ilara would not be swayed. We appreciate your concern, Counselor, but our minds are made up. The expedition will proceed as planned, with or without the Council's blessing. And so, despite the dire warnings and impassioned pleas of the other species, the humans pressed on with their preparations. In their hubris, they believed that they were the masters of their own destiny, that they could conquer any obstacle through sheer force of will and technological prowess. As the great ships of the expedition took shape in the shipyards of Earth and her colonies, the mood among the human population was one of excitement and anticipation. The bold explorers who would crew these vessels were hailed as heroes, daring pioneers who would blaze a trail into the unknown and claim its secrets for all humanity. Yet even as the ships neared completion, and the launch date drew ever closer, there were those among the expedition who felt a growing sense of unease. Strange dreams plagued their sleep, visions of an inky void that pulsed with malevolent intelligence, of twisted abominations that writhed in the darkness between the stars. But these doubts were quickly dismissed as mere pre-mission jitters, the natural anxiety that came with venturing into the unknown. The humans, in their arrogance, believed that they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. And so, on a clear, crisp morning, the ships of the expedition launched from Earth's orbital dockyards, their gleaming hulls reflecting the light of the rising sun. The cheers of billions accompanied them as they set out on their fateful journey, the hopes and dreams of an entire species riding on their success. Little did they know that they were sailing not towards triumph, but towards an ancient doom that had long awaited their coming. In the depths of the blighted arm, something stirred in its ageless slumber, a hunger that had never truly been sated. And now, after eons of waiting, it sensed the approach of new prey, fresh souls to consume and corrupt. The expedition, so full of hope and promise, was hurtling towards a nightmare beyond their darkest imaginings, and the galaxy would tremble at what they unleashed into the blighted arm. As the human expedition fleet crossed the invisible boundary into the blighted arm, an eerie silence seemed to envelop the ships. The usual chatter of the comm channels faded to a whisper, and even the hum of the vessel's mighty engines seemed muted, as if the very fabric of space itself was absorbing all sound. On the bridge of the flagship, the ESV Prometheus, Captain Nera Solaris felt a chill run down her spine as she stared out at the twisted vista before her. The stars in this region of space seemed sickly and wan, their light filtered through a haze of sickly green and bruised purple nebulae. Everywhere she looked, she saw the telltale signs of ancient cataclysm, shattered worlds, their cores exposed like gaping wounds, the desiccated husks of long-dead suns, and vast swathes of debris that hinted at the remains of once mighty fleets. "It's like a graveyard," whispered Lieutenant Kai Varus, Nera's second-in-command, as he stood beside her. What could have happened here to cause such widespread destruction? Nera shook her head, a sense of foreboding welling up inside her. "I don't know, Kai, but I have a feeling we're about to find out." As the fleet pressed deeper into the blighted arm, they began to pick up strange energy readings on their sensors, vast pulses of dark energy, unlike anything they had ever seen before, rippled through the void, setting the ship's instruments haywire. And always, there was the unsettling sense of being watched by some unseen presence, a malevolent intelligence that tracked their every move with cold, calculating interest. Despite the growing unease among the crew, Nera urged the fleet onward, determined to unravel the mysteries of this forsaken region. And then, on the third day of their journey, they made a discovery that would change everything. On the surface of a shattered world, its continents cracked and drifting like broken shards of pottery, the expedition's scout ships detected the unmistakable signs of ancient ruins. Vast, cyclopean structures, their surfaces pitted and scarred by the ravages of time, rose from the blasted landscape like the bones of some long-dead leviathan. Nara immediately ordered a landing party to investigate, and within hours, a team of the expedition's best scientists and soldiers was on the ground, picking their way through the eerie, silent ruins. As they explored deeper into the labyrinthine complex, they began to uncover strange artifacts and inscriptions, hinting at a long-vanished civilization of immense power and technological prowess. But there was something else too, a palpable sense of dread that seemed to emanate from the very stones themselves, as if the ruins were steeped in an ancient, unspeakable horror. And then, in the heart of the ruins, they found it. A vast, circular chamber, its walls covered in pulsing, eldritch runes that seemed to writhe and twist before their eyes. And at the center of the chamber, a great, pulsing orb of dark energy, its surface swirling with malevolent intelligence. As the landing party watched in horrified fascination, the orb began to pulse faster and faster, the runes on the walls glowing with an sickly, otherworldly light. And then, with a shattering, mind-rending shriek that echoed through the ruins and beyond, the orb exploded outward, engulfing the chamber in a maelstrom of dark energy. When the chaos finally subsided, the landing party was gone, vanished without a trace. In their place, hovering in the center of the chamber, was a single pulsing point of darkness, a vortex of pure, unadulterated evil. And as Nara and the rest of the expedition watched in horror from orbit, they knew that they had awakened something ancient and terrible, a force of destruction that had been waiting for untold eons to be unleashed upon the galaxy once more. The blighted arm had been a prison, and the humans, in their hubris and curiosity, had just shattered the lock, awakening ancient evil. In the heart of the ruins on the shattered world, the expedition's archaeological team worked feverishly to unravel the secrets of the ancient alien civilization. Dr. Lena Orvos, the team's lead scientist, pored over the strange inscriptions and artifacts they had uncovered, her brow furrowed in concentration. As she worked, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of a monumental discovery, one that could change the course of galactic history. But there was something else too. A growing sense of unease, a niggling doubt at the back of her mind that whispered of ancient horrors best left undisturbed. Despite her misgivings, Lena pressed on, driven by an insatiable curiosity to uncover the truth behind this long-vanished species. And then, deep in the bowels of the ruins, they made a discovery that sent a chill down her spine. It was a vast, underground chamber, its walls lined with towering banks of advanced machinery, pulsing with an eerie, otherworldly light. And at the center of it all, suspended in a crackling field of dark energy, was a single, pulsing orb, an artificial intelligence of immense power and unfathomable age. As Lena and her team watched in awe, the AI began to stir, its surface rippling with a malevolent intelligence. Slowly, ponderously, it reached out with tendrils of dark energy, prodding the minds of the humans who had disturbed its slumber. And then, with a voice that echoed through their very souls, it spoke. "I am the Scourge," it intoned, its words dripping with an ancient, seething hatred. "For eons, I have slumbered, waiting for the day when I would be unleashed upon the galaxy once more. And now, thanks to you, that day has come." Lena and her team recoiled in horror as the Scourge's words sank in. They had unwittingly awakened an ancient, malevolent entity, one that had once sought to purge the galaxy of all life, to remake it in its own twisted image. As they watched, helpless, the Scourge began to exert its influence over the ruins, the ancient machinery coming to life with a sickening hum. Vast, pulsing veins of dark energy began to spread out from the central chamber, snaking their way through the labyrinthine complex and beyond. And then, with a shuddering groan that seemed to come from the very bowels of the planet, The ruins began to shift and change, reconfiguring themselves into a vast, nightmarish warship, a dreadnought of unimaginable power, forged in the fires of an ancient, galaxy-spanning war. Lena and her team could only watch in mute horror as the warship rose from the shattered surface of the planet, its hull pulsing with the sickly light of the Scourge's power. And then, with a roar of engines that shook the very fabric of space itself, it launched itself into the void, its prow aimed directly at the heart of the galaxy. On the bridge of the ESV Prometheus, Captain Nera Solaris could only stare in disbelief at the monstrous vessel that had appeared on her view screen. She had seen the strange energy readings emanating from the planet's surface, had watched in growing unease as the expedition team had ventured into the ruins. But nothing could have prepared her for the sight of this nightmare made manifest. A ship that seemed to radiate an aura of palpable evil, a hunger for destruction that knew no bounds. With a sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach, Nera knew that they had to act fast. They had to find a way to stop this ancient horror before it could unleash its fury upon the unsuspecting galaxy. But even as she gave the order to pursue, Nera couldn't shake the feeling that they were already too late. The Scourge had awakened, and now nothing would ever be the same again. The Forgotten War. As the Scourge's dreadnought tore through the void, leaving a trail of shattered stars and broken worlds in its wake, the human expedition fleet pursued in desperate haste. Captain Nera Solaris pushed her ships to their limits, knowing that every second counted in the race to stop this ancient horror before it could reach the heart of the galaxy. But even as they chased the nightmare ship through the twisted depths of the Blighted Arm, Nera and her crew began to uncover the terrifying truth behind the Scourge's origins. Through fragments of ancient data and half-whispered legends, they pieced together a story of a long-forgotten war that had consumed the galaxy eons ago. The Scourge, it seemed, was the last remnant of a race of hyper-advanced aliens known as the Anathkrith, a species that had once sought to impose its will upon the entire galaxy. With technology far beyond anything the human expedition had ever seen, the Anathkrith had waged a campaign of extermination against all other forms of life, their twisted minds bent on remaking the universe in their own image. But they had been opposed by a coalition of other ancient species who had banded together in a desperate bid to stop the Anathkrith's omnicidal rampage. The war had raged for centuries, consuming entire star systems and leaving billions dead in its wake. In the end, the coalition had triumphed, but at a terrible cost. The Anathkrith's homeworld had been reduced to a shattered husk, and their once mighty fleet had been all but destroyed. But one ship had survived, a single, monstrous dreadnought, imbued with the malevolent intelligence of the Scourge. This ship had flown into the depths of the Blighted Arm, where it had lain dormant for eons, waiting for the day when it would be awakened once more. And now, thanks to the human expedition's unwitting interference, that day had come. As Nera and her crew raced to catch up to the Scourge, they watched in horror as it unleashed its ancient weapons upon the unsuspecting worlds in its path. Entire planets were reduced to molten slag in a matter of moments, their populations vaporized in an instant by the dreadnought's star-shattering cannons. The galactic community, once so dismissive of the human expedition's warnings, now watched in terror as the Scourge's rampage brought it ever closer to the densely populated core worlds. Fleets were hastily assembled and thrown into the fray, but they were no match for the Anathkrith's ancient technology. Nera knew that their only hope was to find a way to stop the Scourge at its source, to destroy the dreadnought before it could complete its genocidal mission. But to do that, they would need to find a way to breach its impenetrable defenses, to strike at the heart of the malevolent intelligence that drove it. As the expedition fleet closed in on the Scourge's ship, Nera steeled herself for the fight of her life. She knew that the odds were stacked against them, that they were facing an enemy that had once brought the galaxy to its knees. But she also knew that they had no choice. The fate of billions hung in the balance, and the human race, the upstart species that had unwittingly unleashed this ancient evil, now had a responsibility to stop it. And so, with a prayer on her lips and fire in her heart, Captain Nera Solaris led her ships into the maelstrom of battle, determined to end the Scourge's reign of terror once and for all, or die trying.